What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Baltmatrix here, and today we are taking a look at Transformers Combiner Wars Leader Class Ultra Magnus. The box he comes in is pretty darn big. It is a nice Combiner Wars box. Ultra Magnus has 25 steps to go from vehicle to robot and back. Minimus Ambus has only 3. Bio is in 4 different languages here on the back. Otherwise, that's it for the box. Nothing on the bottom. Let's open them up and take a look. Right out of the box, Ultra Magnus is incredibly impressive. He stands a good 8.5 to 9 inches tall, is bulky, is beefy, and holds together pretty darn well. There are ratchet joints all over this figure, and it feels good to move him around. I'll show you a little bit of posability in just a moment. Legs are sturdy and strong, arms hold to their poses well, save for the ratchets in the shoulders and the ratchets in the hips. There's a little bit of play in those joints, but nothing crazy. He comes with 4 accessories along with Minimus Ambus, which will show you what they do here very shortly. Overall, robot mode is phenomenal. It is solid IDW Ultra Magnus, and I can't recommend him enough just based on the robot mode. The figure's hands open and close along a single hinge at the knuckles, and you do have to be a little bit careful because if his hands open up just a little bit, the guns will fall out. Just something to be aware of. There are 4 accessories that Ultra Magnus comes with. First, this very large cannon gun, and then I'm assuming this is more of just a hand cannon, and then the 2 missile launchers on his shoulders. Now, one really cool thing is that all of these combine, and you combine the 2 guns, handguns, like that, and then you take the hammer or the missiles and attach them to the sides of the one gun to form a battle hammer, or what I like to call a missile hammer. So when you hit a dude, it explodes. Ultra Magnus wields the hammer pretty well, but there is a little bit of an issue. Under both hands, you'll see these cutouts. That's specifically so he can hold the hammer. But he has no wrist articulation in this mode, so he can't really turn the hammer to hold it with both hands. And from what I could tell, this is the only way he can hold the hammer well. He can sort of hold it like that, but that doesn't really work. So this is really the only option there is right now for him to hold the hammer. And that's a shame because I would love to see him using both hands to wield this sucker. Ambus has this cute little vehicle mode that is more of a sports car than anything else. And I could easily see this being repainted as Rodimus or Hot Rod. Though in the Takara version of this figure, it's Alpha Trion, which doesn't make much sense to me, but okay. His transformation is very easy. Flip out the front of the car mode, and when you hit some resistance, grab the upper legs and snap the knees closed to form the legs. Then come to the back of the figure and push the back of the vehicle mode away from the head and kind of hinge it down on this double hinge. Sometimes a little harder than it should be, given how tight this hinge is, but you can get it pretty easily. As you just saw, Ambus's leg fell off, and that's one little problem I have with this guy. The ball joints on his legs and his arms are not very strong, and they have a tendency to just pop right off at the slightest provocation. So you want to be a little bit careful with that. Here's Ambus next to a Minicon Target Master, the one that comes with Generation gears for size comparison. He is just a hair bigger than those Target Master Minicons. Putting Ambus into Ultra Magnus is actually pretty easy. Take the chest plate and fold it down, take the head and flip it up towards the back of the vehicle, or the robot mode, and then reach inside and unpeg the halves of the truck mode and flip them open. And you get this cute little seat that's inside Ultra Magnus's chest. To put him in there, simply collapse the legs a little bit to the point where they're going to click in, and then I like to put the arms forward so you can put the entire figure easily in to the chest. And I'm actually terrible at this. I have found that I'm really not very good at getting him in there. There are tiny little pegs that his hands can attach to, and sometimes those hands will go on very easily, sometimes not. Here I was able to get them on pretty well. Close the left side first, then the right side because of the Autobot symbol. Flip up the chest plate and lock it into place, and then rotate the head down over Ambus. And there we have him. Ultra Magnus's posability is pretty good, but limited just a little bit. Head is on a ball joint and can move side to side. Can't really move up and down without exposing Ambus. Shoulders are on ratchets, but there is a little bit of play in the ratchets. There's reverse elbows that move in and out, swivels just underneath that, and then 90-degree bend at the elbow. No real torso articulation to speak of. Ratchets in the hips, but again, little bit of play in those ratchets. A swivel just below that ratchet. 90-degree bend at the knee. As you can see, the feet are on these double hinges as part of the transformation. And normally you want to leave them just a little bit cocked out like this, not completely up against the leg, but just a little bit out. These are ratcheted hinges, but there's a lot of play here, so you do have to be very careful, because if you pull it all the way out, he's not going to be able to stand. He'll just be too darn top heavy and fall over. So just something to be aware of. The transformation for this figure is oddly intuitive once you get going. It's really very cool and definitely reminds me of his G1 transformation, or the way he transformed in the original G1 movie. To begin the transformation, we first have to remove Ambus. First, open up the chest plate, flip up the head, open up the chest, and as you can see, I have already done that. Then we will take the robot head and flip that into the seat cavity where Ambus would sit. Unfortunately, in vehicle mode, you cannot store Ambus in the cab. I would prefer if you could, but I understand why they did it this way. Then close the left side and the right side, take the cab and unpeg it from the inside of the chest, flip it up and out of the way. Turning the figure around to the back, we will take the cab and swing it 180 degrees and then peg it into the back of the cab, or the figure. Pull the cab away from the robot mode and slide it up. That's it for the cab. Next, we will come to the arms. Take the arms and these blue areas around the fists, fold them out and down over the fists. And for now, that is where we will stop with the arms. Turn the figure around and flip out these red pieces that are on the backs of the figure's legs, and then fold the feet up into the rear of the legs until they snap into place. Then straighten the legs out and combine them together. Once we have the legs combined, grab the sides of the legs and pull the legs down away from the thighs until they pop or snap into place in these little peg holes. And then straighten the legs out and rotate the crotch forward and snap the chest plate into the cavity in between where the outer legs were. Then take the arms and flip them out or up towards the top of the vehicle mode, at the same time folding back the back of the robot mode. Then slide the arms out and fold them in and peg them together, and then fold them into, or peg them into, the backs. And sometimes I do this a bit sloppily, but I will do a reverse transformation for you guys so you can see everything that's going on, in case you're missing anything. And then finally, take the red pieces, fold them down, and they will peg into these little pegs on the side. The car carrier mode that we end up with is a fantastic homage to the original G1 Ultra Magnus. If you had told me that this was the G1 Ultra Magnus, I would have completely believed you, except for the shape of the cab. I have a hard time believing that on Cybertron they have car carriers. It just sounds so weird, but apparently they do. The overall look of the car carrier mode is one that I really, really like. It's just neat. Now, you can't disconnect the cab from the rest of the vehicle mode, which I actually appreciate, because that means you're not going to lose this guy. Now, you can attach the other components to this mode. The guns will peg in on the back, and the missile launchers will peg in on the sides. Just like, well, the original G1 toy, almost. So just peg those suckers in, as long as you're hitting the right peg holes, and peg the guns in. And the guns are actually incredibly difficult to peg into those peg holes in the back. Just not much tolerance there. And overall, I think the look is good, except I'm not crazy about the guns in the back, because it doesn't look like they've got room to actually shoot, but I do dig the missile launchers. Getting up close and personal with the cab, you can see that it is fantastically detailed, wonderfully molded, and well painted. Love the little Autobot symbol here at the top of the grille. The lights down here, or the fog lights, are very nice. The overall look of the cab is exquisite. The rest of the vehicle mode is modeled very, very nicely. You see lots of little details and lots of fun little flavorings here and there. Plus, the figure has these little ladders that make sense if this was a human-driven vehicle, but it's not. It's a Cybertronian vehicle. There's even the ladder here on the cab. I don't know why. As far as I've been able to tell, Ultra Magnus can carry a maximum of 2 Autobots or Decepticons in trailer mode. It doesn't really work all that well for carrying more than 2. You can technically do it, but the figures have got to be of certain sizes. So vehicles can be driven into him or into his beds with no real issues, but like I said, there's not a lot of clearance room for more than 2. We did just look at Deluxe class figures. He can hold up to 4 Legends class figures as well. Overall, Leader Class Ultra Magnus is a fantastic figure and a wonderful addition to the Generations toy line. I do have a few misgivings about it holding up over time. That's really the only complaints I could think of about this figure. I just don't know if he's going to hold up. That's just the long and short of it. The plastic feels good now, but how's it going to feel in a year or two? And the joints, while all stiff now, I don't know if they're going to stay rigid through the course of the lifetime of the figure. Maybe if I just have him displayed on the shelf for a long time, he'll be able to hold with no problems, but I just don't know. He has this strange air of fragility to him that is just odd. I'm not saying that the figure is busted or broken or anything. I'm just a little bit worried about Hasbro's overall lasting quality to the Transformers toy lines in the future. It doesn't feel bad, but, like as I just said, it does feel like the plastic's not going to hold up over time. Now, that's generally the way I feel with most figures that are predominantly white. I mean, painted white. And that's predominantly what Ultra Magnus is. His colors are powder blue and white. So he might not hold up. Maybe a repaint of the figure in different colors may make him hold up better. And that makes me wonder, will Hasbro repaint this into another figure? I don't know. I wouldn't say it would be bad if they did or didn't. I think this figure's great, and absolutely this thing belongs in your collection. But just those tiny misgivings make me wonder. But that's just my crazy mind at work. You guys, I think, will be perfectly happy having this figure in your collection, and I don't think you're going to be going wrong with him at all. So guys, I hope you have enjoyed this video review of Transformers Combiner Wars Leader Class Ultra Magnus. As always, I am Baltmatrix. Ask you to like, comment, and subscribe, and please be sure to stick around for my next video review.